pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me. Just hold me.
After our longest race of the season at the longest racetrack of the season, we come now to Crown Jewel race number 3, overall round number 12 for the Super Late Model AI Series right here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening here tonight. Alongside me, as always, my broadcast partner, Toni Trapasso. Tony, a great race, a very interesting race at Charlotte last week. Being able to see how these AI were able to handle that bigger racetrack. Here tonight, we're back where they're more comfortable, back at a half mile.
Absolutely. The last great Coliseum, very fitting name for this place, as there are grandstands the entire way around this joint. And, you know, Frank, if you can, this is one of those tracks. Of course, we've made it one of the Crown Jewel races for good reason. I mean, you look at the grandstands here, they're just in practice, and the stands are about half filled right now. They're going to get more and more people in. As I don't know if you had the problem that I had when I was trying to get here. I finally was able to get into the facility about 20 minutes ago. There's a line of traffic now 4 miles long waiting to get into this place to see these guys and gals run.
This is why you get here very, very early in the morning so you can set up. The reason why we made one of these the Crown Jewel race is because it's not that it's really any different style racetrack than what we've done, but because this is one of the big NASCAR tracks. This is one of the big tracks that the Big Three Series go to every single year. So it is a big special event for these guys who are used to running at your local short track to be at one of the bigger events. And speaking of being at one of the bigger events, Crown Jewel race number 2 was won by Toni Breidinger, who currently sits stone dead last on the practice pylon right now. She has opened up, I know we keep saying it, she's opened up the biggest points lead of the season thus far. This time it's definitely the biggest points lead. 77 points clear of Walt Clough after her victory at Charlotte last week.
Exactly, and her teammate Corey Heim is tied for third with Derek Griffith. Now, Griffith has really turned it on here in the second half of this season so far, and it's good to see him climbing. But the other thing that's impressive is the climb that Colby Howard has been making, as he's +8 in the standings just after last week.
Yeah, Colby Howard has had a very, very good run of things as of late after winning back at Thompson, and then just the second half of the season for Howard has completely turned around. The same thing can be said for the 24 of Dominic Lopez, who after another very good run last week is up into the top 10 for the first time this season. He was back in last for a good majority of the first half of the season. He's now climbed himself back up into the top 10, which just goes to show you it can happen very, very quickly here if you can rack a couple of good finishes together.
Case in point, Gio Scelzi right there. He was sitting way deep in the point standings at the first half of the series, but he's right up there with his two McAnally teammates, Derek Kraus and Cole Moore. And I know that's not the places they want to be, but it's pretty impressive that you're seeing all the McAnally cars sitting right there grouped together. So that tells me that the talent pool at that team, they really have their stuff together. And there's not a big difference as far as you could file any one of those three drivers into any one of those three cars, and it would still be very competitive.
Absolutely. Derek Kraus has had his good finishes and bad finishes this year. Gio Scelzi, we were talking about him being the worst performing driver of the McAnally team. Now he's quite literally just a point off from being the best after a couple of good races in a row, as the drivers now file down pit road here as we end the practice session. And there's a point right there. Single pit lane here tonight. So all drivers will have to enter pit road in turn 2 and will have to exit in turn 1 and take the long trip around here, whether it's under green or under caution.
And that has the possibility of being very sketchy, as you're trying to woe the car down to get down to the pit speed, and it's right in the area where everybody's trying to jump on the loud pedal, as Gio Scelzi going to be one of the first ones to roll it here in solo qualifying.
Everyone has rolled it. The only two that have not started their hot lap as of yet are Jake Drew in the 6 and John Moore in the 27. There is Toni Breidinger, the current championship leader. Eddie McDonald, make it Blaine Roca now, make it Tanner Reef now at the top of the pile.
And you can see right on the front of Breidinger's car, and you can see it on the 9 there. They're running max tape on these things to try to get that front end glued to the racing surface to try to get as much frontal grip as they can, and they're really steering the car with the throttle here tonight. These guys are just cranking them off right now.
Tanner Reef on pole right now. This is the last man that can stop him. That's the 27 of John Moore, and he will jump up to 6. This is another guy having a season resurgence. In that number 27 is John Moore, and that right there is our Lightning qualifying session, and that is how our Lightning qualifying session will end. So with that, we will now switch it over to the race session here.
9.
That's what I'm doing.
So I'm kind of impressed with what I'm seeing out of Wayne Stokes here tonight. Normally not known as a qualifying specialist, put it ninth quick. That's a good omen for that team.
It was 0, by the way. So as we go into the session, I have the 9-button map for caution and 0 for session.
Okay.
I was pressing 9 and was wondering why it wasn't going. Maybe because I'm dumb. But as we get to the grid here for
Welcome to the
tonight's...
club, bud. Welcome to the club.
Well, I knew I was dumb. But we'll take a look at the grid here for tonight's race. Tanner Reef, for the first time in quite some time, puts it on pole with a time of 14.085. Corey Heim will line up next to him on row number 1. Josh Berry, the highest qualifying effort he has put down, and Sean Woodside will make up row number 2. Mark Wirtz and John Moore will make up row 3. Derek Griffith and Colby Howard will sit in row 4. Row 5 goes to Wayne Stokes, the aforementioned Wayne Stokes, and Ty Majeski. Dominic Lopez and Eddie McDonald will make up row 6. Row 7 goes to Jake Drew and Carson Quapple.
Derek Kraus and Sammy Smith are going to roll it off in row number 8. Row 9 is going to give us Blaine Roca and Gio Selzy. Cole Moore and Parker Trays rolling it off from row number 10, with row 11 going to Trevor Huddleston and Austin Maynard. Andy Allen and Walt Clough going to make up row number 12, with row 13 going to Toni Breidinger, your points leader, and Jeremy Doss, with Austin Herzog. Not the qualifying attempt he was hoping for. He's going to start shotgun on the field back there in 27th.
But it's not
27th start. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's not necessarily a bad qualifying effort, though. He's only a 10th and 3/4 off the pace. This entire field is separated by 1.179 seconds. That is incredibly close.
It is at that, and there was a lot of times that were within a couple hundredths of each other. So I expect close racing. I expect some beating and banging to take place once the green flag flies. And, you know, this place is something special. So much fun in a car that is built to be on a half mile or smaller track. It is so much fun to get around this place. Super late models, crate late models, modifieds. The pavement modifieds are so much fun around here.
Yes.
And the SK modifieds are a blast. You know, you get into the cars that were designed for short track racing, and this place isn't as much of a chore as it is in the top 3 touring divisions of NASCAR. I'm expecting big things tonight, Frank.
Yeah, it is going to be quite an eventful race. We'll take a look at the weather conditions here for tonight's race. We're just past 7 o'clock p.m. in sim time here on this August 6th. Ambient temperature 77 degrees. Track temperature playing nice with these guys, at least for right now, for the beginning of August in Tennessee at least. 83 degree track temperature. Quite a nice evening for these guys.
It absolutely is, and you can kind of see the shadow on the backstretch as to where, you know, what the sun is doing. And as that sun continues to set, this track is going to continue to cool off, and the air temperature is going to continue to cool off as well. And with 54% relative humidity, that means that these engines are going to be making gobs of horsepower here as the sun continues to set. And that's when it gets interesting. Towards the end of this race, we're definitely going to see those Moscow lighting units that you can see lining the inside wall. Those are going to be at full tilt here in probably another 20 to 30 laps.
It all depends on how quick these guys can get through. And we really haven't seen... Now, with the AI, during practice, you can kind of see indications of like at Thompson, we knew turn 4 was going to be a problem. Last week, we knew that turn 2, we could kind of see with how wobbly and wild everyone was getting that the corners were going to be an issue, specifically 3 and 4. Even the week before at Concord, we kind of knew that turn 3 was going to kind of be a little bit of an issue spot. Here, we really haven't seen that. This track is very wide. It is very banked. You have plenty of room to do what you got to do. I'm expecting to get back to another quick. We've had hour races this season thus far. I'm expecting to get right back to that here tonight.
And considering Frank just jinxed the entire field, you can get your hate mail coming now. That's Frank Marchese, care of ESBN Towers, Hollywood, California, P.O. Box OICU 812.
It's what I still haven't learned my lesson for baseball, but this is computer controlled cars. It's not human controlled cars, so I have a little bit better shot at being right now, don't I?
I'd say you have a 50-50 chance.
Well, it's about the chance I get with anything else. So there is the field rolling out on what would be its first of 2 pace laps. Just 5 more races to go in the season after this. The Nashville Fairgrounds will be next week. After that, or 4 more races to go after this. Wow, the season's gone by quick. The Nashville Fairgrounds coming up next week. Then it'll be Southern National, Hickory, and 5 Flags. Tony, it's been a wonderful season, and from what I am understanding, Season 2 is already in the works.
Season 2 is already in the works. We're going to share that with the Sim Racing Media Facebook page once we do get the details finalized. But big things coming. Field size almost double the size of what you see here now.
Yeah, and it's important to note that we're not going to be doing another super late model series. We want to show all of what iRacing has to offer. So we are going to be swapping back and forth between road series and oval series. So this next one will be a road series. But Tony, take her away.
Well, in the last great Coliseum, it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some barbecue because it's time to get it on in the great state of Tennessee. Race fans, it's showtime!
Solid start for these guys as they run 2 by 2 going into turn 1. Middle lane in full effect in turn 1 and 2, at least for the start of this race. As we're seeing plenty of room through these corners. And another thing that we did not notice in practice, there's no dominant line here. The outside line is just as competitive as the inside.
It absolutely is. As you know, we're watching Moore and Griffith go after each other. It was the 81 of Howard going after Stokes right now on the low side, and just the fact that these guys are running side by side is very impressive. As we've got a new leader.
And Josh Berry up into second. Tenerife still up in front, but look at the run that John Moore is getting on the outside line. Remember, started 6th on that outside line, up into 3rd. Outside line, at least early, keeping that momentum with these cars.
It absolutely is, and it's not really it's only about a groove up off that apron. I think as the night wears on and these guys start to punish the right front tire more and more, you're going to see guys try to dip onto the apron to get these cars to rotate. That is an angry pack of wolves behind your top 3 right now.
Colby Howard thought about making it 3 wide in the middle between Corey Heim and Sean Woodside there for a second. Thought better of it. As it's Tenerife with John Moore to his outside. That's 27 of Moore came to race here today.
He absolutely did, and you know this is what we're kind of expecting out of Moore. When we get to the higher bank tracks, Moore seems to be able to really turn it on. I mean, we saw it at Concord. He was really making up a lot of ground there, going through turn 1 and able to flat foot it through 2. I was expecting nothing less out of that team here tonight at Bristol with the high banks.
It's a fantastic shot, by the way, hanging over the racetrack from the start line. As boy, that was Sean Woodside really clogging up the inside lane there for Derek Griffith in the 12 and Wayne Stokes in the 92. Stokes jumps up to the outside. Gio Scelzi up at the outside as well, and we've been talking about Scelzi being the lowest running McAnally car for a lot of this season. He's number 1 right now.
Yeah, but if you take a look, all 3 of those McAnally cars are right there. They're in the same camera shot. There's Kraus right behind him, and Moore a couple cars back with only the 35 separating Kraus and Moore.
Austin Maynard to the outside of Jake Drew, the teammate of second place runner Tenerife. Maynard working his way forward. Unfortunately for a guy like Ty Majeski, falling back in that number 91. Jake Drew trying to kind of keeping him stabilized at the moment. And once again, at the back of the field, there are not just the points leader, but that's 1 and 2 sitting there at the back of this field right now. Toni Breidinger and Walt Clough.
Yeah, they're not having a good time of it yet, as it's just a log jam in front of them. Think about your commute home every day on the 405. This is rush hour traffic, and it's going to be very hard to make moves deeper in the pack right now.
That's also Tanner Reef going for the race lead against John Moore, so put the 9 back in front. Colby Howard has gotten up into third place as well. So is Dominic Lopez. That was another guy we had spoken about during pre-race, of a guy who's had a complete reversal of fortunes on the season. Josh Berry started second. He's falling downward, trying not to lose the 7th position right now to Derek Griffith in the 12.
I mean, he's normally a late run driver anyway, so while everybody still has the goodie left on these Hoosiers, you know, you expect Josh to fall back just a little bit. Essentially a hometown hero is Hendersonville, just up the road here from Bristol County, so looking to have a good finish here, but I dare say a team's got that car set up for the long run instead of short bursts, as Eddie McDonald working his outside right now.
Eddie McDonald, winner at Concord by about 1/1000th of a second.
And Stokes working on Hertz right now up in front of him.
It's for 5th. Wayne Stokes on the outside of Mark Wertz. Already
Griffith right there as well, too. This is the best run we've seen out of Stokes in, I think, all season.
He's had a couple of good runs, just has not been able to put it together for the finish. Has that number. This is the shot I love. This is such a great shot right here.
Oh, yeah. No, that's an awesome shot. And thank you to the cameraman that is hanging over the top of the catch fence to control that. To answer your question, I talked to management. You are not getting hazard pay tonight.
And a great job by him to wear green tonight, so he's not showing on the screen for the wider shots.
Right.
As we see Derek Kraus battling with Cole Moore. McAnally running 13th, 14th, and 15th in the championship, and right now running 11th, 12th, and 13th here in the race. Selzy, Moore, and Kraus. Right now, there you see them all in your shot right now, the 3 McAnally cars.
And you got to remember that McAnally only really has one rule, and that is try not to kill each other. Rule number 2 is if you are going to kill each other, make darn sure it's a Sports Center highlight for the rest of the year. And right now, they're trying not to kill each other.
A couple of guys who have fallen back after high grid starts. There is one of them. That's the 20 of Corey Heim. Has fallen down 12 positions. Started on the outside of the front row. Now currently runs in 14th. Sean Woodside started up in the top 5. He is stuck, what appears to be stuck on that bottom line, running in 19th right now, down 15 from where he started. However, the biggest plunger right there is that number 91, Ty Majeski. Started 10th, now in 26th, battling with Austin Maynard, who we saw not that long ago moving forward.
We did that, but speaking of moving forward, Clough and Breidinger are using that top shelf to try to make up some spots here, as they're starting to climb through the field now. As we're already 30 laps into this piece, you've pretty much worn all the goodie off the right side tires by now. So this is where elbows are up and you're driving your butt off to try to make it forward.
We blinked and this race is already a quarter gone as John Moore goes back 4 and 2 the race lead from Tanner Reef, and now Colby Howard looking to capitalize. Again, you see that blue line down there at the bottom of 3 and 4. Once we get around there again, which shouldn't take too long, we will see it again. Cut to the wide shot. There it is. Well, you can't really see it from there. That blue line down on the bottom in 3 and 4, that denotes pit lane and the racetrack. So you are going to have to maintain with a single pit. You're going to have to maintain pit speed even once you get clear of the wall down the back straightaway, all the way through turns 3 and 4 here tonight with this single pit configuration around this racetrack.
Enter in 2, exit in 1, and everybody's going to have to do that tonight. So I dare say the pit stops are going to be at a premium here, because it's very easy to lose at least 2 laps trying to get 4 in fuel.
And the bottom 5 drivers in qualifying are starting on that backstretch. Only 2 I can remember off the top of my head. Breidinger, Herzog, Jeremy Doss, I believe, was one of them. Walt Clough sounds familiar. That was 4. I can't think of the last one, but those guys will be pitting, guys and girls, will be pitting on the backstretch pit here this evening.
They are, and you're kind of at a disadvantage when you pit on that backstretch. And I'm not sure exactly why, but because everybody's got to use the same pit road. It kind of throws everybody off with you coming in on 2. It's not really what you normally practice. So definitely not the easiest pit road to get on and off. Was we are on board with the battle for 3rd.
And this is Colby Howard trying to keep his position from Dominic Lopez and not succeeding. Derek Griffith up into that 2nd position as we'll go back to Tanner Reef, who is really stuck on that bottom line, it would appear. Has fallen from 2nd all the way back to 8th as Derek Griffith going to the outside of John Moore for the race lead.
And you can see what an advantage Griffith got on Moore, using that top shelf to carry the momentum through the corners. You're at that time in the tire run where if you're trying to stay on that bottom lane, all you're really doing at this point is just burning up the right side tires, especially that right front.
Absolutely. As Derek Griffith gets away, Dominic Lopez now looks to the outside of John Moore. Those are 2 drivers. Well, really 3 if you want to count Colby Howard in there as well. 3 guys who have had a complete reversal of fortune from the first half of the season to the second half of the season. Dominic Lopez consistently finishing on the podium now. John Moore has been racing up at the front. Colby Howard has a win. So does Eddie MacDonald. He was another guy who we saw mired back in the middle of the field during the first half of the season. So it's nice to see, and this is what we were talking about with everyone being at the same aggressiveness, everyone being effectively at the same ability. This is what we were expecting. Different winners, different races. Everywhere through the field, you were going to see a complete different array of names at every race this season.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Frank, but we've not had a repeat winner yet this season.
We haven't had a repeat winner in a while. We have had a repeat winner.
Oh, right.
This season. It has been quite a while. And I think we only have one. Sean Woodside has won twice. He won at South Boston and took his first win of the season at Myrtle Beach. So he won 2 and 3 races, and he's the only driver that has won more than 1 race this season.
Absolutely. And, speaking of winning a race, we saw Eddie MacDonald struggle and spend, of the hour 20 race, he spent 45 minutes on pit road replacing suspension arms at North Wilkesboro, and then he comes back and wins at Loudon. That team has really turned things around.
There is a very familiar sight here at Bristol. The number 24 going for the race lead. And Dominic Lopez to the front in that machine. We've blinked and we're already a quarter distance through here at Bristol Motor Speedway. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Pit stop should be coming up soon here at round number 12 here at Bristol. Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field worked its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing it's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, the rocket! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the West Coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field worked its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing it's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Well, oh, the rocket! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the West Coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Back live here at Bristol Motor Speedway. Pit stops have begun. Here comes Trevor Huddleston, a part of the second group. And part of this pit road being as long as it is there you see the guys having to funnel their way down on the apron to 3 and 4. Part of the reason we chose the one lane pit lane was so the crossover didn't happen. These guys do like to pit all at the same time. Everybody is in pit road right now. The only question is going to be on exit, as there goes the 24 of Dominic Lopez off and away. So Lopez should regain his race lead.
It looked like Lopez only took 2. I saw the right side of that car go up, but I didn't see him go to the left. So 2 in fuel for Lopez. As you know, Frank, my live timing and scoring just went south on me. How long are these guys spending on pit road on average?
It's about for Austin Herzog just spent 1:03 on pit road, so it's going to be a little bit. Saw the 92 of Wayne Stokes jumping out onto the racetrack. Now these guys also have to obey the same iRacing rules that we do. They do have to exit pit road on the back straightaway. They do have to stay to the inside of the cone to funnel out onto the racetrack in on the back straightaway. So the only real issue is going to be if someone decides to go later, if someone does a little bit of a mixed strategy, that little cross getting into and off of pit road, but merging up into the racetrack shouldn't be an issue. And as pit stops cycle out, it's Austin Herzog leading this race by about a second over Derek Griffith.
He absolutely is. As we're seeing Herzog right there, and that's Corey Heim right in front of him, being scored as one of the last cars still on the lead lap. So Heim's in trouble.
Corey Heim, the last car on the track, period, in that number 20, running in 27th. So the back of the field has been caught up, and this is the first time we've really seen that 11 of Austin Herzog running up towards the front since he finished second back at the Bull Ring at the beginning of this season. As Wayne Stokes battling with John Moore, this is for 5th. As it does appear now, as the run's going on, you can see the racetrack getting darker and darker, and I don't just mean by the shadows in the sun.
By the rubber laid down in that concrete.
Absolutely. That inside line starting to really fall back now, and the outside line, just as you would expect for the Cup cars, is reigning supreme at the moment.
It is at that. So on the fresh shoes, let's see what type of damage these guys can do. As we're watching Tanner Reef now slot in behind the 50 of Huddleston, working the top shelf on Huddleston right now. Is not too shabby of a run for the 50 here tonight.
Nope, not at all. Huddleston up 12 from where he started right now, running in the 9th position. Colby Howard right there. Mark Wirtz looking at him. Now Tanner Reef started on pole in this race, looking to go to the outside and getting around Derek Kraus in the 19.
He's going to bring Huddleston with him, as the top lane it's really starting to come into its own here, as we're working lap 81 of 200 tonight here at the Bristol Raceway, the last great Coliseum. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Super Late Model AI series, brought to you by Sim Racing Media. Tony Trapasso and Frank Marchese up in the booth, as we're looking back at Huddleston off of Reef's roof, and Huddleston's trying that low line, not really able to make it happen, as it's Ford on Ford crime right now, as they're both trying to work on Moore.
There is John Moore as we're riding off the back and have been with John Moore, with Tanner Reef, looking back at John Moore. Now Tanner Reef looking to the outside of Eddie McDonald, as that 9 looking very, very quick on fresher shoes. Getting back up into the top 5 for the first time, really, since he got passed for the lead that second time by John Moore.
As you know, you would expect to see those Sunrise Fords doing well at a place where horsepower is going to be at a premium here tonight. Every pony you can extract from those engines, you've got the advantage. And this is really where we're seeing the higher budget teams, for the most part, running up towards the front. With the exception of your points leader and her teammate. And unfortunately, Drew is mired back deep in this field as well. But generally, we're seeing the guys that have been able to shoehorn a fresh bullet under the hood. They're making it happen tonight. And Herzog is just stepped out a second and a quarter to the good right now over Griffith.
He's only pulled out about a 10th and a half. He had that 1 second lead, but still by far and away the biggest lead of the night, and it is growing as Tanner Reef looks to the outside of Dominic Lopez. You were talking about the Sunrise cars being really good here. Tanner Reef running in 4th place right now, going to be looking for 3rd on Wayne Stokes. Jake Drew right now battling with Sammy Smith. That's for 23rd. So the winner of the opening race of this season, the first AI race that we've ever broadcasted on the network, has not had a good run of it thus far, running 23rd here tonight after qualifying 13th.
Well, we were talking about that before the before the race. It's kind of been the winner's curse this season, or you win a race and your next 2 races are abysmal. So far, not a complete dumpster fire for Toni Breidinger after winning last week, but she's mired back in 21st right now as we are watching Sean Woodside work the top shelf.
That's Woodside in the 45, working on Blaine Roca in the 98, now trying to get Parker Traves in the 60. It's really been a tale of 2 seasons for Parker Traves. Finished last in the opening race at Vegas, and then went out the very next week at USA International and won the thing. So that 60 has had a real up and down season, finding himself now in the 15th position after losing out to not only Sean Woodside but the 75 of Jeremy Dosh. You can see in the background there, that's Walt Clough moving up to 17th.
Working in the outside of Cole Moore right now as Moore kind of caught on that bottom lane. And, we've seen it from the time the green flag came out. You're going to make your passes on the top shelf. Bottom lane, all you're doing is burning up your tires.
There's Mark Wirtz proving same. As Wirtz goes around Wayne Stokes, that demotes Stokes down to 5th. Trevor Huddleston now coming up. Dominic Lopez came into the pits with the race lead, came out 3rd, has now fallen down to 7th in that number 24.
And going a little bit further forward, it did not take Tanner Reef long to get by Derek Griffith, as he's now setting his sights on reeling in your points leader and
race leader, rather.
A race leader, as Herzog has already caught the tail end of the pack.
Here you can see Tanner Reef has been faster than that 11 of Herzog by right around a 10th a lap. And Herzog not in lap traffic. He still is not caught up to the 20 of Corey Heim. Now Heim did start up towards the front of the field, so we know that 20 has pace, but the gap has pretty much maintained the same between the 20 and the 11 ever since they came out of pit road. As Herzog now just a tick over a second clear of Tanner Reef. Up at the front, Wayne Stokes mired in battle. Just lost out to Trevor Huddleston and may now lose out to Dominic Lopez. John Moore now battling with Eddie McDonald. Josh Berry to the outside of Jeremy Doss.
Doss caught on that low side, and that's not where he wants to be, because you can see what a better run the 8's able to get on that top lane. You're able to carry so much more momentum, and you can see the deep black marks in the middle of these corners. That's where that bottom lane is really having to hunker down and really wheel these cars to keep them off of everybody on the top shelf. You can see it there going through 3. Heavy rubber laid down as you're having to use the brakes to kind of rotate the car again to keep these cars separated, as Moore and Huddleston going after each other. Core and Drew, sorry.
And for 15th position, Drew trying to make it work on the inside line, and does make it work on the inside on the 99 of Moore.
Shows you how much horsepower those Fords can make, as that was all horsepower there getting by Moore, as Moore now looks back to the inside in that Napa Brakes Chevy. And, one thing that the McAnally cars have, some of the best brakes in the sim, being as they do have that Napa sponsorship, and I personally swear by those brakes.
Absolutely. It is quite a nice thing and quite an incredible thing to see the track evolution as we've gone through practice and as we've gone through this race. These corners have gotten a heck of a lot darker as more rubber has been laid down, as Jake Drew has really started to work his way forward. He's found a way to pass on the inside line. push the other guy up higher so you have the lane that you want.
You can see him there hanging it out on the top shelf, able to get by the 75, and now sets his sights on both Kraus and Clough. Kraus and Clough, sorry.
He has really found something here in the most recent laps. Started in 13th. He fell as far back as 26th. And is now just about back to where he started. Running in 15th. He has 14th and 13th right in front of him. And unfortunately for him, we'll watch the 3 wide attempt. Unfortunately for him, that 46 able to hold it on the bottom and really start to pester Derek Kraus in that number 19.
And, you know, Frank, it's kind of refreshing because this is probably the first track we've been to that we haven't seen a 3 wide situation yet.
Yeah. We haven't seen that crazy moment as we ride on board with Jake Drew. Well,
He's thinking about it, though.
Yeah, he wants to.
They leave that hole open, we might see it.
They're certainly leaving enough room to get that third car in.
On entry, anyways. I don't know from center off. No, they pinch together center off, and it's more Kraus kind of pinching down on Clough as opposed to Clough coming up. You know, that's a real, could be a real problem if this was, you know, real world drivers behind the wheels of these things, because you're putting so much faith in netcode at that point. Luckily, not something that these drivers are going to have to worry about, considering technically they're all sitting in Boston right now.
I think the reason why we're not seeing the crazy moves is there goes Dominic Lopez, Derek Griffith, Colby Howard, all right here battling as well. This would be for 6th. I think part of the reason why we're not seeing the insane moves that we've seen at other racetracks, such as like, I don't know, Lanier, Myrtle Beach,
The Bull Ring.
Yep, the Bull Ring, Langley, like we saw earlier this year, is because this is a Big 3 racetrack. So I think the AI is a little bit finer tuned to run around a racetrack like this as compared to running around, say, Lanier or South Boston.
Right, and it's because, you know, this is one of those handful of tracks. I mean, you're talking here, Charlotte, Daytona, where a lot of people will do AI races for themselves to try to get ready for the iRacing Daytona 24-hour or Daytona 500, you know, the Charlotte 600. So the computer knows these tracks better because there's more usage. Whereas when we are at places like the Bull Ring, Lanier, Concord, you know, there was kind of a lot of, well, let's try this and see if it works. And the computer was learning, going, yep, that didn't work.
There are a couple of very intriguing moves. We have missed a little bit up front while we've been discussing this. Austin Herzog, I apologize for that. Austin Herzog has fallen out of the race lead. And you can see he's just past Corey Heim now. Also, Carson Quapple, another guy who has had a less than ideal season. Tanner Reef has gotten up into second with Mark Wirtz getting out into the race lead. And if you bear with me for just a second, we can get those passes for you to show you what happened as these guys went around. I think it might have been just a little bit too far back. Oh, no, there it is. Here it comes. This is the pass for the race lead. See Tanner Reef right there. Wirtz goes way up to the outside. Gets the pass done coming out of turn 2, and away he sets sail, and not that long after goes the 9 of Tanner Reef around the 11 of Herzog. So there is Mark Wirtz out in the race lead. He is one of the very few guys that we're seeing everyone that we've seen thus far that's running single file has run down on the bottom, or has been running alone, has been running down on the bottom. Mark Wirtz has jumped out to the top, and he has not gotten off of that line.
As you would expect here at the concrete jungle that is Bristol. That top lane is usually where you want to be in just about every other series we've ever broadcast from here. Simply because now he makes a liar out of both of us as he goes to the inside.
Well, you take him where you get him. As Tenerife has now fallen 2.5 seconds behind him, has our points leader Toni Breidinger in front of him. Not for too much longer, as there goes the 9 to the outside line. Mark Wirtz does now finally get back to his outside line against Parker Traves and will make the move. He's got 5 more cars in front of him, and we have green flag pit stops coming up very soon. Now, we have mentioned multi-race winners here this season, and that there being only one with Sean Woodside. Mark Wirtz won the first Crown Jewel race. That would have been at North Wilkesboro, as here he comes into the pits.
First one to flinch to come down pit side for what will be his money stop, as we are 65 to go currently.
Colby Howard down pit road as well. Andy Allen in the 22 coming down pit road, and this is where it's going to get fun, because we have guys now on different pit strategies. We're seeing little by little trickle in instead of the big packs that we saw back on lap 68, 69, and 70.
A little bit of a different dichotomy is now Reef going to peel off. Here comes
Trevor
the 50.
Huddleston.
Yep.
Eddie McDonald in. So Sean Woodside currently leads Wayne Stokes and Cole Moore. That is your top 3 at the moment. Ty Majeski up into the 4th position now by way of drivers pitting. Sean Woodside will now come down pit road. And again, that cross is going to be what is going to be watched, as Austin Herzog will now come out of pit road. He's got one of the backstretch pits. See, Mark Wirtz is back out on racetrack. Andy Allen comes out clean. Dominic Lopez on his way out now. So is Jake Drew, Josh Berry. It appears as though these guys are coming out relatively unscathed thus far, as Parker Traves currently leads with Toni Breidinger running second.
Everybody spending just a little bit more time on pit road this time, trying to get 4 fresh tires and fuel, as the 55 and the 60 just going after each other. 55 on the fresh shoes. Here comes the 60 down to pit road for his money stop. You can see there was Reef flashing by, but there is the 55, and you can see just about 3/4 of the distance of the front and back straightaway is what the lead for the 55 is right now.
1.3 seconds the gap between Wirtz and Tenerife, who currently runs in second. There's Austin Herzog, who's about a half a second behind Tenerife, so that gap has closed between first, second, and third. Colby Howard has jumped up into fourth now. Trevor Huddleston, effective P5, as he will get past, there is the returning to the racetrack, Parker Traves. Sean Woodside battling with Carson Quapple, who is not on the lead lap. However, that 17 of Eddie McDonald is.
25 looking to get his lap back the hard way, as he now does get clear of Woodside, and you can see it right there. 55, and Reef is closing quickly.
There is the track map. The numbers being represented are the car numbers, so find your favorite number, and that's where he is on track in relation to the race leader, who you're seeing on screen right now. And this is something that we've seen all race long. Tenerife in that 9 has been very, very good on the short run, on fresh tires. Goes to the outside for the race lead right now.
Even though those two guys are running side by side, they're still pulling a gap on Herzog. as what was a second and a quarter, now almost a second and a half, just in a couple of laps.
Well, that is the second round of pit stops. Eddie McDonald takes over P6, at least for the moment. There goes the second round of pit stops. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back and bring you the final quarter of this race from Bristol. Race number 3 of 4 for the Crown Jewel. Race number 12 on the season. We'll be back right after this. Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight, is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight, is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field works its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Back here at Bristol Motor Speedway for round number 12 of this inaugural AI season. There is your race leader, Tanner Reef, currently running 2 seconds clear of Mark Wirtz. There he is in the 55. Battle right now for 6th, as that is Sean Woodside losing out to Trevor Huddleston. We have 40 laps to go, Tony. A quick and very competitive race here today.
It is at that. It doesn't seem like we're already at 40 to go, as Woodside trying to figure something out now. Is that it's Heim and Heim and the 11 getting together, coming off of 4 that time. Heim's got some pace right now, but Austin Herzog not giving him a lot of room, and Eddie McDonald looking to capitalize as well.
We've had the overlay break. That's why we're at 40 laps to go. We're actually 30 to go here at Bristol. Eddie McDonald looking to the inside of Austin Herzog, and Herzog now up into third, or pardon me, McDonald up into third. As McDonald's still looking on that inside, Cole Moore looking to the inside of Walt Clough. Clough up into the top 10. This will be a nice little points haul for him. And Tony, we were speaking earlier, there's the one. We were speaking earlier about drivers about that points lead that Toni Breidinger said, and we said one bad race will certainly put her back out of it, and that 77-point lead will vanish. She's running in 24th right now, hasn't gotten outside the top 20 all race. Meanwhile, Walt Clough, or inside the top 20 all race. Meanwhile, Clough battling inside the top 10 for the first time tonight.
He is at that. He's working the inside of Gio Selzy right now. But, Clough was mired back at the tail end of this field before the first round of pit stops. He used a two-tire strategy to start to climb his way back up, as Selzy, wow, what a run Selzy just got.
Absolutely. Made a little bit easier by that 35 of Carson Kvapil holding up the inside line, and now Selzy free and clear to try to take on that 45 of Sean Woodside. Coming up on 20 laps to go here is Blaine Roca. This is a little bit further back in the field, but you can see race leading implications as there is Tanner Reef in the 9. 38 of Blaine Roca looking to try to battle with not only Derek Griffith in the 12, but also the 22 of Andy Allen. That 12 of Griffith was quite close to being up in the race lead. Over that last run of pit stops, he was about 10 seconds slower from cone to cone than anybody else, which has put him back here on the verge of being put a lap down.
Yeah, very unfortunate. There is not a good time right now.
Oh, absolutely not. As there goes Tanner Reef around the outside of Blaine Roca. He is your race leader and has the biggest lead of the race out of anyone thus far. 3.5 seconds is currently the lead as Gio Selzy goes 2 for 1. Down through 3 and 4, Colby Howard and Trevor Huddleston he gets. Selzy up to 5th.
Hell of a run right now for the 16, and ever since the halftime rate, or the halfway race, Selzy's really gotten his proverbial feet under him here in the second half of this season, and has just had a steady climb. I dare say after tonight he's going to be flirting with a top 10.
Absolutely.
in points.
He might be inside of it, honestly. He's had a very, very good run tonight. A very nice haul of points as Colby Howard now trying to defend from Walt Clough, as Clough looking to try to close that 77-point gap to first place in points. Is that 46? As Clough will get Howard in 1 and Huddleston in 3 and 4.
Clough definitely on a charge right now, is up into 6th. But those 2 cars behind him are not letting him get away too easily. But he's got big work in front of him. to try to reel back in Gio Scelzi.
1.25 seconds the gap between Scelzi and Clough as we see Cole Moore, teammate to that number 16, starting to work his way back up. Austin Maynard up here as well in the 29. Solid run for that machine. Austin Maynard Racing, there he goes under the timing line now. To the outside, to the outside of Sean Woodside he goes as well. And up into 9th.
We are about to see what's going to happen here. Is
battle for second.
Boy.
The front two cars are not for position. The back two are, as there goes the 17 of Eddie MacDonald. Into second place, Mark Wirtz falls to third. Austin Herzog in the 11 right there as well, trying to capitalize, get back on the podium.
Trying to figure it out, but right now it's Corey Heim right in front of McDonald, and McDonald's got to be getting a little bit frustrated right now, knowing that, Heim, the lap car he's running the line that he wants.
Get off my line as Austin Herzog looks to the outside, looking for third, and will get third in that number 11. Just 7 laps to go. This is happening 4.5 seconds behind this man, the current race leader, Tanner Reeve.
Reeve continues to walk away with this one as he's able to, really get it out there and put a walk on some of these guys. Reeve working through the lap traffic right now, but that's just letting Eddie MacDonald kind of reel him in ever so slightly. As you can see that gap falling, what was 5 seconds, now down to just over 4.25.
He's gaining, not by much, but he is gaining, and I think part of that reason is, as you mentioned, Corey Heim being right in the middle of the racetrack. As Austin Herzog now looking to try, if Herzog can make a move on the inside line, this is going to be the scenario where he is going to do it. 3 laps to go here. Herzog looking to the bottom.
Herzog looking to the inside of McDonald, down the back straightaway, side by side, or almost side by side, going through 3 and 4 as McDonald goes to the top shelf to try to figure out what he's got to do to get by Corey Heim. 2 laps to go, popsicle sticks in the air. Heim and McDonald almost getting together, coming off a 2.
Yep, Heim and McDonald, there he is, but coming through 3 and 4 right now to take the white flag is Tanner Reeve. We've been talking about duplicate race winners and how we've only had one. Well, this man won back in round number 3 at Lanier. Coming through turn number 4, he will win at Bristol. Tanner Reeve back to victory lane for Sunrise Ford.
Absolutely remarkable run. Started up towards the front, ran in the top 5 most of the night, except during the pit stop strategies. McDonald, though, hanging on for another podium this season. Herzog rounding out your podium. Definitely hard fought from both of those guys to get up towards the front and stay there. Just once again, Frank, we just got spoiled here at Bristol. Green to checker, caution free, and some hard fought racing side by side a lot of tonight.
200 laps at Bristol Motor Speedway without a caution. Have you ever?
Not recently.
So Tanner Reeve takes the race win. Again, his second race win of the season, his first since Lanier. Third win of the year for Sunrise Ford. Again, his teammate Jake Drew dominating and winning the opener at the Bull Ring at Las Vegas earlier on this season. As the drivers continue to work their way back into their respective pit boxes and to the garage. Tony, I'm quite upset that we only have 4 more of these to do this season. Again, just great racing, really unlocks the potential of the entertainment that these tracks can provide.
Absolutely has, Frank. And this season's gone by way too quickly for either one of our liking. But I've seen what's in the works for season 2, and it's going to be even more exciting as we get closer and closer to the end of season 1 here. And I was intrigued by the idea when it was first brought to me about doing this series. But we've said it week in and week out. We're becoming very spoiled to having such great action that we don't even know where to point the damn cameras.
Absolutely. It has been quite a wild ride here these last 12 weeks, and again for 4 more. We get to do it at least with the super late models. Again, as Tony alluded to, we will be doing a road series for season 2 of the AI series. Then after that, we'll go back to the ovals, and then we'll go back to road. So we'll alternate between, and our goal is to not run the same car twice in any of these series. So we'll take a look at the finishing results here for this race. Again, for the second time this season, it's Tanner Reef that sits atop the finishing order here. Eddie MacDonald, another strong podium finish for that number 17. Austin Herzog, his first time on the podium since the opening race at the Bull Ring. Mark Wirtz and Gio Scelzi, another great finish for Scelzi in the top 5. Walt Clough, Colby Howard, Austin Maynard, Cole Moore, and Trevor Huddleston round out the top 10. Sean Woodside, Wayne Stokes, John Moore, Dominic Lopez, and Andy Allen round out the top 15.
Derek Griffith, Jake Drew, Josh Berry, Ty Majeski, and Blaine Roca finishing out your top 20. Corey Heim, Derek Kraus, Jeremy Moore, Toni Breidinger, Sammy Smith, Carson Quapple, and Parker Traves rounding out your 27-car field here tonight from Bristol.
Yeah, Parker Traves found himself down on pit road there at the very end. Not sure what happened to him. Did not appear to have any damage on that number 60, but either way, a 27th place finish, 2 laps down for one of the 2 Canadians in the field here tonight. So that will do it for us here at Bristol Motor Speedway. My name is Frank Marchese. Tony Trapasso, as always, sitting next to me. We will see you next week from the Nashville Fairgrounds for round number 13 of the Super Late Model AI Series. Good night, everybody.